day, Mr. Guido. As international expert, what can you say about the development of public transport in Astana? What are the disadvantages and advantages you can see?
The difference with Astana and other cities is that you are a relatively new city, so things has to be done quickly and with a huge pace, actually. So it's very impressive to me as an international expert to see how quick things develop also in public transport. I had the big privilege to work 2 years ago to advise the city on setting up a transport authority, and that in many cities it's very difficult to set such entity up. So I'm extremely glad that the transport authority is here. Why it's important? Because we cannot leave public transport purely to the private sector. We need to have a government that takes its responsibility, because we face a lot of problems in terms of congestion, environmental issues, pollution, but last but not least, public transport is important to provide people access to jobs, to education. So any modern city cannot survive, cannot compete if it does not have a good public transport system. What I think is very good in Astana is that you try to make an integrated approach. It's in the end about mobility. People want to move around. Sometimes it's on a bicycle, sometimes it's by car, sometimes public transport. This mixed mobility is actually a big trend currently in the transport world. So a transport authority is well equipped to pay attention to all these issues. And I forgot to mention also parking is very important. So huge progress is made in Astana, very impressive. But of course, as I mentioned, things has to be done very quick. In London or Paris, we had 50 years or maybe 100 years to develop. Here, everything has to be in 3-4 years. So there are always some things what could done be better. And that's of course, but don't worry about it. In the end, it's a big investment in the future of Astana, because we see other cities growing, but at the end they fail or they have a backlog because they don't have a good public transport system or a good transport system. So huge progress is made. What sometimes is difficult, not only in Astana but in Kazakhstan, is that the legislation is not up to date.
Thank you. Can you tell us about the global world trends in the sector of public transport?
One of the trends, there are of course many. The first is that people want to have integrated systems. They don't want to pay for every individual line. So the systems are becoming more and more integrated. The lines, the routes, intercity lines, regional lines, city lines, they are integrated. So that is a typical trend, because people are not interested in a bus stop from A and take the bus to B. They want to have a system. That's a clear trend. Secondly, a big trend international is the use of let's say the digital use with your smartphone. You can exactly see where new bus is coming, what is the tariff, mobile applications. One day you will even pay with your mobile. So there is a lot to do. Last but not least, we see also combined mobility. What means combined mobility is that people can use the car, but then at the park and ride they can use the bus. We see combined with cycling, where you can hire your bicycle. We see taxi services more and more integrated in the public transport. Again, something of integration.
Okay, tell me how big cities in the world are struggling with growing traffic?
Many cities are struggling with the congestion, but many have also solved that. And in the end, it's about giving financial support and priority public transport, because no city in the world that has lessons learned can build this way out by more and more and more roads, because more roads only generate more cars. So the only way out to combat congestion is to improve the public transport. The big issue is public transport is not something for the poor. Public transport is something for everybody. But if we want to attract people who use a car and shift them from the car to public transport, of course public transport has to be of high quality, otherwise you will not switch. It has to be comfortable. And there is a nice expression I always use from the mayor of Bogota. He once said about what is a developed country. A developed country is not a country where the poor have a car. A developed country is where the rich use public transport. And that's a big challenge, because that means that you need high quality public transport.
Thank you. What do you think about today's conference? And tell me about your tomorrow speech.
The conference is great because transport is something in the heart of the society. So everybody is interested in transport because every day we travel.
Yes.
Yeah, every day you have come here, we travel every day. So it's in the interest of everybody. So it's great to hear about today about the developments and plans here in Astana. As well, it's tomorrow we hear a lot about international developments, and it's good to discuss transport, as it is such an important part of daily life. This will be not the last conference, I think so. So it's good to have this conference to discuss how can we make public transport better. Tomorrow I will talk about a very specific topic, which is about contracting in public transport. What does it mean, contract? It's not so directly to the passenger itself, but it's actually what kind of contracts we need to have between the transport operator and the transport authority. And we have to work towards a model where the operators are not only very small-minded looking for profit, which ends in not very good buses, safety is ignored, etc. With the contracting, we can make a contract between the transport authority and the operator, which define actually the quality he has to deliver to strict standards, which has to be strictly enforced, and in return the transport authority will pay for the delivery of the services. In the end, public transport is a public service, so it's in many countries it's very common that the government is paying for this service, but the service should be from quality. So tomorrow I will talk about contracting.
Thank you for your interview. I wish you a nice day in Astana, and we're always glad to see you in Kazakhstan.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be in Kazakhstan, and especially in Astana. Thank you.